One thing that you're going to see on our dryers is a tapered duct design. This is kind of a MC exclusive design where you have larger ducts here and they narrow down. We call them tapered because just like if you look up in the HVAC system of a large building like this, here we are in the Kentucky Exposition Center, right? You generally see ductwork that gets smaller and smaller as it goes closer to the end of like a heating or cooling circuit, and we mimic that same type of thing. Because what happens is if you have air, let's say we're talking about this side being the inside of the dryer, if you have air coming in over here, as soon as it gets into that duct, it's going to want to travel down through the grain, right? The idea is as it gets further and further to the outside of the dryer, you want to somewhat restrict the flow because you don't need as much, because it's all kind of dropping out of this duct, so that when it gets over to this end, it's a lot smaller. It's kind of like a nozzle effect.
So as the air cools, it wants to drop.
Well, not necessarily cool, it's just airflow in
just
general.
Airflow is how it is.
It's going to all drop down. So by the time you get to the middle of the duct, you don't need that container for that air to be as large, and it just slowly gets smaller and smaller and smaller. What does that do for you?
Yeah,
well, it opens up a lot more volume to hold grain, so you can get more capacity through a dryer with a smaller box.
So what he's saying is, you think about it, and there's a lot of if you can squeeze a little bit more here, and look at all these, on how many there are on a big dryer, and you can narrow it up by so many inches on each one, it adds up to some major capacity.
Yeah, we're talking hundreds of bushels, which can result in hundreds of bushels an hour. Right?
Wow.
Yeah.
So you could literally get a little more out of a dryer and necessarily not even have to have the same size as maybe a competitor. So you could size it a hair smaller if you're on that tipping point and save yourself some potential money and get the same bushels per hour.
Absolutely. Not only that, but also the inherent benefits that come from just more evenly heating up your grain. You're just going to get that much more consistency on the outlet.
Wow, interesting.